Hello guys, today I will be going through 4 casino companies. The first company is Caesars, the second company is WYNN Resorts, the third is Las Vegas Sands, and the fourth one is Penn Entertainment. I will be going through their respective earnings and their financial statements. Let us begin this video by going through their respective share price and their respective earnings. According to Yahoo Finance, Caesars Entertainment have missed their third and their fourth quarterly earning last year, and unfortunately they missed their first and second quarterly earning this year. That being said, their estimate for its third quarterly earning this year is still the same as their third quarterly earning estimate from last year. In terms of the share price, at the beginning of the pandemic, the company was at 59 and it reached a peak of 112. The second company, WYNN Resorts, did not fare better. It did beat its second and third quarterly earning last year. However, it did miss its fourth, and then it missed its first quarterly earning from this year. Unfortunately, we do not have the data for their second quarterly earning this year. In terms of the share price, the company at the beginning of the pandemic was at 126. And unfortunately, during this time period, it was not able to beat this value. Las Vegas Sands missed their third quarterly earning last year. They did beat their fourth quarterly earning, but then they missed their first and second quarterly earning this year. And its third quarterly earning estimate is unfortunately lower than the third quarterly earning estimate from last year. In terms of the share price, the company started at 65, and here again, they were not able to beat this value during this time period. The final company, Penn Entertainment. Penn Entertainment missed their third and fourth quarterly earning estimate, and they missed their first and second quarterly earning estimate. Here we do not have an estimate for their third quarterly earning this year, but hopefully they will fare better. In terms of the share price, the company at the beginning of the pandemic started at 29 and reached a peak of 115. Now that we have covered each of their respective earnings and their respective share price, let us now move on to their financial statements. The first financial statement belongs to Caesars. From Caesars' financial statement, we can see that the company tripled its revenue from 2020 to 2022, from 2,528,000,000 to 9,570,000,000 in 2022. However, income did not rise during this time period. Income drastically fell for this company. It fell from 81 million to negative 1 billion in 2022. Although Caesars managed to triple their revenue, they also, as a consequence, increased their expenses. And from the income, we can see that expenses rose by a larger amount than the company's revenue. From this perspective, we can see that Caesar's 2020 financial statement is better than Caesar's 2022 financial statement. Hopefully the company manages to reduce their expenses in the future and at the same time maintain the same amount of revenue. The positive thing about Caesar's financial statement is the current asset and current liability ratio. A very small portion of current assets is made out of accounts receivable. This is a very good thing. It reduces the small amount of accounts receivable, does reduce the company's risks, and it does improve their stability. Current liabilities are mainly made out of accounts payable, which is yet again a good thing for the company. The only concern I have with this company is their income and their expenses. Currently, if the company were to bankrupt, it is unlikely that their shareholders would receive anything out of the company. For this reason, I do not recommend Caesars. The next company I would like to talk about is WYNN Resorts. Immediately from their financial statement, we can see that Caesar's financial statement was better. Here, unlike Caesar, WYNN Resorts' revenue fell during this time period. In 2020, it was at 6,611,000,000 and it fell to 3,763,000,000 in 2022. Similarly, income drastically fell during this time period. Income fell from 311 million in 2020 to negative 1 billion in 2022. The positive thing about this company is the management. It seems like the management is attempting to save the company. This can be seen from their drastic increase in financial activity. Financial activity in 2020 was positive 299 million and it rose to 2,463,000,000 in 2021. It seems like management was attempting to save the company by selling their shares. This sale of shares did have an effect. It it did increase income for WYNN Resorts. However, more needs to be done in order to stabilize the company. The next thing I'd like to mention is their current assets and current liabilities ratio. Their current assets is made out of a small portion of accounts receivable. And their current liabilities are mainly made out of accounts payable, which is a very good thing. The last thing I'd like to mention is their equity. The company's equity fell from $1,541 million in 2020 to a negative $836 million in 2022. The company's long-term liabilities are too large, and hopefully management manages to reduce them in the future. In any case, that is all I have to say about WYNN Resorts. If the company bankrupts, it's highly unlikely that their shareholders will receive anything out of the company as compensation. And I don't recommend purchasing this company. Now, moving on to the third company, Las Vegas Sands. Las Vegas Sands is in the same situation as WYNN Resorts, if not worse. The company's revenue fell from $12 billion in 2020 to $4,234 million in 2022. This is a drastic reduction in revenue, and it follows with a drastic fall in income. Income fell from $3 billion to negative $1,469 million in 2022. The company was hit hard during the pandemic, and we can see from cash that the management is desperately trying to save the company, is attempting to keep the company afloat. Cash reserves fell from $4,242 million to $1,870 million in 2022. Management is using their cash reserves in order to stabilize the company. And unfortunately, this seems to not be working. Revenue was still fell, and income still has a very large negative value. The fact that the management had to use their cash reserves indicates to me that the company is in a very, very difficult situation, and we need to be concerned about it. As an investor, I am concerned about the fact that the company used its cash reserves and they still have not stabilized the company, even though they use such an enormous amount of their cash. In any case, here again, if the company bankrupts, it is highly, highly unlikely that the shareholders of this company will receive any compensation. Again, I do not recommend this company. The last company I will review today is Penn Entertainment, another casino company, and the best one out of all four of them. Here we can see that Penn did not experience a rise in revenue, however, it did not experience a fall in revenue either. It maintained its revenue during this time period, and it increased its income during this time period. Unlike the other three companies, here we can see that income rose from 43 million to 420 million in 2022. We can also see that management did not need to use their cash reserves in order to stabilize the company. Instead of using their cash reserves, they increased it from 437 million to 1,863 million in 2022. This increases their stability and reduces their risks if any problems occur. The last thing I'd like to mention is their current assets and their current liabilities. Just like with CZR's, Penn Entertainment current assets are made out of a very small portion of accounts receivable. This is a very nice thing to see. Accounts receivable does increase risk for the company, so it's nice to see a small amount of accounts receivable. And just like with CZR's, current liabilities here are mainly composed of accounts payable, which again is a very good thing. Now that's all I have to say about Penn Entertainment. Let us now rate all four of the companies. I'm going to place Penn Entertainment in the careful section. Penn Entertainment is the best company out of the four companies I reviewed today. That being said, their income is still relatively small, and so is their revenue. I would like to see an increase in revenue in the future and an increase in income. If the company manages to do both of these things, then I'll think about placing them in the OK section. But for now, they're going to stay in the careful section. CZR Entertainment is going to be placed in the trash section. The company did manage to triple their revenue during this time period. However, they also increased their expenses at the same time. Expenses rose by larger amount than revenue, and as a result, their income fell drastically. Again, if the company bankrupts, it's highly unlikely that the shareholders will be compensated in any way. hopefully management manages to stabilize the company in the future. Now, WYNN Resorts and Las Vegas Sands are trash, even worse than trash. Both companies are in a very terrible state. Management attempted to stabilize the company either by selling their shares or using their cash reserves. However, in both cases, they failed to stabilize the company. As of currently, I would not recommend the purchase of WYNN Resorts, and I would not recommend the purchase of Las Vegas Sands. If either of the company bankrupts, it's almost certain that shareholders will not receive any compensation. In any case, that is all I have to say about all four companies. And in the next video, I plan to analyze L'Oreal, Estée Lauder, and PVH. In any case, hopefully you liked the video. If you did, give it a like and subscribe, and see you next time.